share one new way that you can step out of fear and into bravery to take radical responsibility for yourself, to lead with embodied joy, and to be part of a collective shift in making the world a better place, one heart centered, conscious leader at a time. I am a certified, board accredited, certified NLP practitioner, hypnotherapist, time techniques, EFT, all kinds of subconscious reprogramming, as well as human design. I'm a human design reader, guide, coach. If you don't know what your human design is, for goodness sakes, go to my website right now, find the link in the bio wherever you're watching this, and pull your human design chart. It's awesome. I'm also a community builder. I host retreats all over the world. I have one coming up in January in Costa Rica. My friend Chris Davis is going to be there. Whoop, whoop. She even bought her tickets yesterday, her flight. That's pretty exciting. Um, I am the kind of entrepreneur and coach and speaker, podcaster, author, business leader that truly shares with you what is showing up for me in the moment. I do not I schedule things maybe a week in advance, but not much more than that because they're topics that are live and alive in my mind, in my heart, in my soul. And I know if they're showing up for me, that they are going to relate for you, for so many of you in so many ways. So look, let's be very clear before I even get into. I have a really fun topic today, and I got inspired in a really fun way, and I'm going to share that. But I want to be really clear, and I think that I am really clear. Uh, when you are sharing space with me, you are sharing space with somebody who is queer, who is so far left of progressive, it's not even funny, who supports Jewish people and still believes with my whole heart that Palestine needs to be free. Lots of things can be true at once, y'all. Lots of things can be true at once. I will fight against the nasty, hateful rhetoric in this country and the awful things that they're doing. If it is the last thing I do, I will continue to fight for it. Right? That's what you're getting when you're in space with me. Now, I like to coach things in positive scenarios. I like to use nice words that feel good, but we have choices. And the fact is, lots of things can be true at once. So we can have all these heavy things. Like yesterday was a really intense day, was it not? We had another school shooting because only in fucking America can we say that like almost every day, certainly every week. Oh, we had another school shooting and we just move on like it's no big fucking deal. It's a big fucking deal. We all know that a right wing Nazi conservative political talkhead was unalived. Um, that's a bummer, I guess. I don't know. Is it? I'm not sure, but I don't have any sympathy because you reap what you sow in the world. So I just wanted to say that. I just wanted to say it out loud because I want to make sure we're really clear that this is not a toxic positivity space. This is not well, we're going to make everyone feel comfortable space. If you are comfortable with being awful and hateful and hurtful to masses of people, you're not safe here. This is not a safe space for you. So I just wanted to say that out loud. Like I'm a little on edge today. Things are crazy. It's a beautiful sunny day here in the outskirts of Chicago, and maybe I'll go for a little walk after this. But I just want to be really clear that there is no space for harmful people here. Now, the core of my work, and some of you know this, some of you who are in the room right now have worked with me or have followed me for a long time. The core of my work centers around each and every one of us taking radical responsibility for ourselves. Radical responsibility for ourselves. What does that mean? It means that there's always going to be shit going on that is not good, that you don't like. People are going to do things that you don't like. They're going to hurt you. They're going to, all sorts of icky shit is going to happen. The only thing you can do in those scenarios is control yourself because that's the only thing you have control over, your own thoughts, choices, actions, and behaviors. That's it. Your own thoughts, choices, actions, and behaviors. So when you take radical responsibility for yourself, you look at what's happening around you and then you decide, who do I want to be in this moment? How do I want to feel? How do I want to behave? What do I want to intentionally do next? All of that fun stuff. So Oh, I gotta shake it off a little bit. That was intense. I didn't really plan on that little intense intro. Like, I'm gonna shake it off a little bit. I do this with somatic work. Moving your shoulders actually really releases a lot of tension. So feel free to do it with me if you want to. Um, and so we're gonna shift gears into something that's just a little bit more exciting and fun. Uh, Obviously, about just about anything would be more exciting and fun than that, would it not? Okay, the truth of the matter is, hey, Lauren, how are you? Um, when we're taking radical responsibility for ourselves, we are not apologizing for how we spend our time, our thoughts, choices, actions, and behaviors. I mean, if we make mistakes, which we do, we can make honest mistakes. But then we apologize, we reassess, we figure out how to do better, and we move forward, right? And every day is a choose day. So I don't know, somewhere out there, my former client BJ is out there, and BJ said to me, every day is a choose day. I would go forward and say every hour is a choose hour, every minute is a choose minute. You are the one that gets to decide what is valuable to you in each moment. Now, in my work with subconscious reprogramming, I come across people a lot who have um, deep seated negative associations, thoughts, patterns, behaviors. And one of the things that I really like about the subconscious reprogramming work is we can shift that on a subconscious neurological level without necessarily having to associate with those past memories because, we don't always want to do that. And I get that. Um, we have choices on how we want to process things and what we want to believe is possible. And resiliency is the number one key indicator into whether or not a person will be successful. I didn't come up with that. That's Angela Duckworth. She is the world's leading scientist on resiliency and grit. She's the one that did the research. I have that book here, right here. Great book. Anybody wants it? Grit by Angela Duckworth. Highly recommend it. Okay. So resiliency isn't about skill. It's about being able to believe that change is possible, that something different can be true, reassessing, looking at it differently, getting your lessons, and then deciding how you want to show up again, but differently. That's resilience. And you can use that anywhere, in any capacity of your life. You can use it in business. You can use it in your personal life. You can use it to overcome shit that's weighing you down. You get to decide right now, every day is a Tuesday, if you want to keep something as is and be guided by something that used to be true, or if you would rather create a new truth for yourself. Believing in hope and change and possibility is important because otherwise we are all going to just give up. And what would happen then? What would happen then if we all just gave up and then we didn't have all of us our amazing selves that we know we need? We know we need one another to make a difference in the world, to shift other people's realities, to make people feel loved and seen. We need that with one another. We need that together, right? And so one of the things that I do, I talk a lot about leading from embodied joy. One of the things that brings me the most joy in my life is reading. I just finished my 105th, like literally right before this live, my 105th book of the year. This is not a contest. It's not a competition. I'm not saying you should read that much, although I do think people should read. you know, Reading is great. Knowledge is power. Reading, it shows skill and empathy and your ability, your cognitive reasoning and all that good stuff. But I read kind of across the board. I read all sorts of different things. And I have really leaned in a lot lately to fiction, especially in the last year. And I've discovered that I think a good portion of that is a little bit of a disassociation, right? The world, and especially this country, is a fucking shit show. And so I will lose myself in a book and it feels healing. It gives me a little time and space to disconnect. I also read a fair amount of nonfiction. I just read a book. I'm going to post about it on TikTok later, called One Day Everyone Will Have Always Been Against This. Highly recommend it. Talking about the genocide in Palestine. Highly, highly recommend it. And it also talks about, the mass trauma here in the United States. It's a really good read. But a couple weeks ago, I was reading a book that has been on my TBR for a long time. I've been excited to read it. It's called A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping. Okay, it's a light, fun, silly, magical realism rom-com. It's one of my favorite genres. I love magical realism, especially when you use magic in the real world, and I think that it is because it allows me to imagine things in kind of an unexpected and unique way. And I really admire these authors who can write magical realism because I believe that they are able to look at the world in such a unique, creative way. Like, let's read in Costa Rica. You know, I will be reading in Costa Rica. Plus, this project yourself has to have a little bit of time to myself. So I'll definitely be reading before bed. This is how I love on myself. Um, Maybe we should pick a fun book. Maybe I should email everybody who's already confirmed to come to Costa Rica and be like, "Hey, I'll do my research. Like, there's one book that I think would be great for us to take, and we can you take apart." But I don't know. I don't know if you guys want that in a retreat or not. And hey, if you're interested in going to Costa Rica, we'll talk about it. Let's go. Talk to me, talk to Chris. We're gonna go. It's gonna be amazing. I have anywhere between 4 and 8 spots left, depending on what types of rooms are booked. So there we go. Okay. So I'm reading A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping. It was such a fun, silly little cozy read. Um, I like this author. I enjoy this stuff a lot. One of the things that I pay attention to is when a line or a paragraph speak to me enough to make me stop and pause and go back and reread it, bookmark it, share it, think about it. And there was this line. So in the book, the witch who keeps the inn has lost a good portion of her power, and it's I'm not going to tell you why because if you like fun, light, cozy rom com witchy reads, you're going to want to read it. But she is recalling a memory, and when she recalls a memory in this story, the ghost comes up. The ghost of that memory comes up and replays it in front of her. And other people can see that ghost. So there's somebody else in the room who sees this ghost replay this memory. And instead of being horrified by what he's seeing, he's tender with her. He has compassion with her. He sits with her. And here's the paragraph that really spoke to me. Sarah knew that it couldn't change the memory because that night had already happened and Luke hadn't been there. But what it could do, what it did, was a simple magical act of transmutation. She saw the memory through his eyes. And what she saw for the first time was not ugliness at all, but pain so enormous and consuming that it had felt like dying. Right? So she had been judging herself with these memories. How many of us do that? Of our past choices, past actions. We judge ourselves so fiercely. And maybe we're not honest with what led us to making those choices. And if we can treat ourselves with the same compassion that somebody who was observing might treat us, someone who is kind and centered. Oof, I know, Chris, I know. Um, that's such a magical gift. And so perhaps magic, as we read in these books, is not a real thing. But transmutation is. And when we decide to rewrite how we're going to view something in a way that allows us to live better, happier, healthier lives, that's transmutation. Magic and fairy tales might not exist, although, listen, I'm open to possibility. Maybe it does. Maybe it does. But this is magic that you can feel in your bones. And it's actually called intuition and self awareness. And that's what I work with people on all day, every day. It's what I work with myself on all day, every day. It shows up when you change how you choose to relate to your own life. What once felt impossible feels possible. What once felt like an ending can feel like a beginning because you've shifted the way you view it and the way you allow yourself to embody it. And that is without a doubt magic. Your intuition is magic. Your gifts are magic. What you give to the world is a beautiful sense of magic. You can create your own transmutation spell, and it's something really simple. Regular reassessment, reframing resilience, part of the Brave method, which is what I wrote my book, Fuck Fearless, about, right? What happened? How do I feel about it? What do I want to do about it? Who do I want to be in this moment? When we choose to reprogram the stories and the beliefs and the old decisions that continue to keep you stuck, when you create that shift, then you're practicing your own transmutation spell. By choosing to see a memory differently, not to erase what happened. That's not the point. That's not what we're trying to say, but to shift your relationship with that memory. That's transmutation. That's you choosing your own magic. That's you taking radical responsibility for yourself. I um I have a memory, very clear experience that I had with one of my daughters. And it wasn't even um a very big moment. It was kind of a throwaway moment, but it hurt me in my heart. And I found that I was spending a great deal of time thinking about that conversation and that exchange. And it had become a big truth that had informed me in ways that it really didn't need to do. And it was causing me to behave in certain ways because of what I had associated to it, the meaning I had given to it. And I actually worked with a colleague of mine who also does subconscious reprogramming to shift my associations with the memory. We can do that. I do that with folks all the time, right? So all she did was take away this vivid, painful sting and this truth that I had attached, and we shifted it to possibly be something else. That was it, right? We just sort of muted that deep feeling and shifted it so that it could possibly be something else. And in doing that, you can see, right? You're here that I got emotional and I talked about it, but I got emotional because I'm proud of myself for not letting that narrative that was harmful to me and then could then by extension be harmful to my child. I didn't let that stay true. I took radical responsibility for myself and I did something to shift it. This is what works for me and it works for my clients. I love doing subconscious reprogramming because it is a freedom technique. Whether we're doing EFT tapping, and I know some of you don't love that. I personally love it, or we're just doing you using subliminal audios or parts integration, time techniques, bouncing around in your timeline, past and future, and shifting things. It allows us to have more control and more power. It's why I love tools like NLP, subconscious reprogramming, and even human design, because they help you literally rewrite the script that your subconscious is running on repeat so that old stories no longer have the power to hijack your nervous system. Doesn't that sound exciting? Wouldn't you love to be more in control instead of your nervous system, your subconscious being your boss? And when you think of your conscious your conscious mind and your subconscious mind, you think of an iceberg and the little bit of it that you can see on top. That's your conscious mind, and all of the rest of it is under the surface. All of the rest of it is subconscious, and it is in charge. And so when you slow down and you stop enough to take stock, to ask yourself questions and then sit around and actually listen to the answers, and then be thoughtful and intentional about what you want to do with that information that you've just gathered. That's you taking radical responsibility for yourself. That is how we create change. Then you have the knowledge and the information that you need to know what we want to do and shift in subconscious reprogramming, right? Is not something that you want to go into doing if you haven't done the internal work along the way, the processes along the way. So, as a transformation coach, and I think a transmutation spell is a pretty great topic of conversation when we're talking to a transformation coach, I like to guide leaders to step out of survival mode and into alignment with your own joy on your own terms in a way that feels good to you. That's yours instead of what somebody else told you are supposed to have or do or feel or be. So we create these shifts by doing human design readings. I also am live every Tuesday. I do open office hours every Tuesday, 12 p.m. You're welcome to join. Again, the links in all my bios are going to lead you how to join me for that. In my subconscious shift sessions, in my mind shift mastery program, even in my Spark Collective, which is an $18 a month community membership that's all about growing your awareness and intuition and taking 10 or 15 minutes a day, just a couple days a week to support yourself and love yourself. in my subliminal audios, my human design focused subliminal audios, and I have regular subliminal audios as well. And even on a really big scale, the Costa Rica retreat, which is a 6-day immersive reset at the miraculous and gorgeous Emaloa Institute, where we're going to experience anti-inflammatory, plant-based, chef-prepared meals that nourish us body and soul. We're going to do somatic movement. We're going to work with indigenous practitioners to do a blue clay ceremony and a cacao ceremony, breath work, and my brain. Oh, a sound bath. That's going to be amazing. Like there are lots of wonderful things to show up there. Plus, there's time, plenty of time for you to meet one-on-one with me if that's something you also want to do, or just rest, read a book, hang out, get to know the other people who are going to be there. This is the kind of space where transmutation actually happens, where you remember who you are, where you reclaim your peace and return home feeling more whole than you did when you left. Oh my gosh. Chris says she can't wait for the sound bath. Have you ever done one before? The sound bath is amazing. I've done it at Imaloa, and I also did one in the mountains in Costa Rica. And I've done local ones, but there's something really special about a sound bath in a place that you have never been before. And here at Imaloa, not here, I'm in Chicago, but at Imaloa, we are in a structure that is in the middle of the jungle. It's a beautiful Balinese structure, and you're right there, right? So it's really special. It's really cool. At the end of the day, though, folks, magic isn't about spells in books. It's not about conjuring things up. It's about what you choose for yourself, how you decide to show up into the world and care for yourself. It's you choosing to see yourself as ready rather than broken. It's choosing to see your past as wisdom that you can build from rather than proof that you are unworthy. And I had that written before I knew you were going to be here, Chris. Chris has a book out called Worthy. It's very good. You should read it. Real magic is to choose joy and hope and possibility over despair. Choose it. That's magic. And you have that power. You have that power. So here's a little reflection, something I'd like to give you for today. I want you to take a moment and ask yourself this question. Where in my life am I still choosing the painful story and it's running the show? Ask yourself the question and then think about how it feels in your body when you hold that old story. And then very gently, I want you to shift with some conscious self inquiry and ask, what else could be true? What if holding on to that story felt like protection, but it's really harmful? What if I can redirect? What if I can shift or change? What else could be possible? And lean into that possibility. The BRAVE method, which is my own creative, trademarked approach to problem solving, dreaming, designing, building, and actually having a life that you love, reminds us that expansion comes with a set of boundaries. It comes with reframing the stories, reframing what has happened and finding the lessons for you, taking aligned action, and allowing yourself to be vulnerable enough to show up and try again differently. So, my invitation to you, my action step that I invite you to do is to choose one story that you've been carrying about yourself and write a new version. Don't erase the truth of what happened, but simply transmute it and how you relate to it. Let your nervous system breathe into a new possibility because that's your magic. That's your ability to transmute. And you are never stuck unless you choose to be. And I want you to be free, but you are the only one that can give you that freedom is in our hearts and in our minds. Not to get too heavy again, but I think even in really horrible situations, the survival is in realizing that you can hold yourself kindly. You can move yourself through the next thing to get to the other side. All right, I'm going to pull a Create Brave card. This is a deck of manifestation cards that I co-created with my amazing, beautiful, wonderful friend, Rachel Swanson. And remember that manifestation isn't declaring something and then it magically appears. Manifestation is declaring something and then shifting the way you show up in the world to make it appear. And being open to the possibility of shifting, of changing your mind, of doing something different, of not knowing for sure how something's going to go, but saying, let me find out, let me try something. And so I like to pull a card. It's, oh, sorry for those of you on um, YouTube and LinkedIn. I just hit my microphone and that was probably really loud for you. I like to shuffle cards until the one that is for me comes out, and this one came out. Oh, this is interesting. We got delegate. Just because I can do it all doesn't mean I should do it all. I love that. This is maybe the first time ever that I've pulled a card that doesn't feel like it completely relates to the topic. But I can tell you that if this card came up today, that there is somebody in this room right now who needs this reminder. Just because I can do it all doesn't mean I should do it all. What do you need to take off your plate? What do you need to give somebody else uh, an opportunity to work on, step away from for yourself? Ask yourself, think about it. All right, my dears. My name is Heather Vickery, and it is my pleasure to remind you today and every day to go out and choose yourself bravely because you are worth that. You were born worthy. If there's anything I can do to support you or help you, please reach out anytime. I do free office hours on Tuesdays. I am here on Thursdays, both at 12 p.m. Central. And if I can support you with human design chart, human design reading, subconscious reprogramming, the Spark Collective, Costa Rica, please reach out. It is such a joy to get to share space with you. Thank you so much for coming and being here. I'm going to go now.